Welcome to the Utah Senate Legislative Update. This is the end of week 2, 4.5 weeks to go.
And who's counting?
And who's counting? This week we finished up the base budgets and have passed some bills now. Our standing committees are working hard, and our appropriation committees now are working on building blocks to address some extra money that we might have. Senator Hilliard, when do you expect the revenue estimates to be out?
I have not received a firm commitment from Jonathan Bald yet, but the request was to make it as late as possible, so I'm sure it won't be the normal date of February the 17th, which is Lincoln's, or President's Day, I should say. We celebrate that and have the legislature off. They usually do it over that weekend, so we get it and have it that Tuesday. So I would hope a week thereafter, or a few days later.
Like Bryant to introduce his daughter, a budding journalist. It's here today.
This is my daughter, Karisha. She is a sophomore at Jordan High School. I had the day off of school, and she actually asked to come up here today.
Is she sick?
Maybe we should have an introduction on her. Before she becomes a journalist.
I noticed you provided her with all of the accoutrements of reporting.
Yes.
So welcome today, and obviously she has an interest in journalism, which is a great thing. So I've asked Senator Dayton to come in today, and Senator Dayton, if you don't mind coming, she's sponsoring a resolution on the developmental center. If you've ever been to that center, you know that we could always, if we have any money extra, that would be a great place to put it. Could you just tell the listeners what your resolution is about?
Thank you. My resolution endorses a master plan dealing with properties at the developmental center that has been the product of a project for 2 years, headed by former Director Palmer DePaulis, and many interested parties involved, and 20 focus groups have evaluated it. But the bottom line is, we have a developmental center that used to include a huge section of property. Part of it was sold, to the city where the golf course now sits. Part of it was sold on land where Lone Peak High School now sits. And we have no ongoing income from those sales. It's money that we have nothing to show for that now. This developmental center master plan takes a look at this last little section of land that's out there now. It wasn't in the rural area where there was not a lot of interest in development, but now it's out there in a very choice piece of property surrounded by the golf course, the high school, and the temple of the Mount Timpanogos Temple. And it creates a plan for making sure that anything that's done with the land that's left is revenue generating. Whatever plan is presented has to go through the Developmental Center Board and the Department of People with Disabilities and the governor and his cabinet, and then come to the legislature to assure that whatever decisions are made provide an ongoing stream of income for people with disabilities, which would include the Developmental Center. We really never have enough money for those people that we need to have some services for, and this would be a wonderful option to helping improve our budget in that area.
Thank you. And I know Senator Jones spoke to this on the floor. Would you like to comment?
Yes, this is a wonderful facility for those that can't have in-home community-based care. There are some needs there, and it's a wonderful facility. We've toured it. I certainly have, and I just appreciated Senator Dayton running this. I think it's really important that we look at the master plan, and it is shrinking just like most other things, but it's an important bill.
The state bought this land for the developmental center, and the resolution is designed to give the benefits to the rest of the land to that developmental center. So thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Senator, a couple of factual questions on that. You said the remaining land is about 160 acres?
It is. It used to be 1,000 acres.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then what year was the developmental center established?
It was in the 1928, 1929, I'm trying to remember which. It was under Governor Dern. Was it 29? Thank you. And it was a joint effort between the American Fork Lions Club, the Relief Society of the Mormon Church, and the legislature. They looked at 38 places, found a good spot that could. They used to have agrarian activities there and were self-sustaining and raised their own beef and milk, and it was a good project. But a lot of those people have since gone into the community, and the population has fluctuated, and the lands have been sold. So this is a good approach.
Okay, well, your resolution then have force of law in restricting the use of any revenue that comes from sale or leasing of this land. The master plan, as you pointed out on the floor, makes it very difficult to sell this land without multiple levels of approval. But would it have the force of law with this resolution?
The master plan is already binding. What the resolution does is say we agree that whatever decision is made on this land should provide for the people with disabilities an ongoing revenue stream and not just a one-time chunk of money.
So you're contemplating leases or putting money in a trust? Is that what you're
There would be a lot of opportunities of things to do. This master plan does not speak to any specific purpose. There are a lot of ideas that have come forward. It basically speaks to whatever is going to happen has to provide ongoing stream, and it has to have buy-in from the people who have responsibility for these, the people with disabilities.
I believe there's a trust on that right now. As a matter of fact, on sales of the land. It's already in place. We did that
We did that a
That's
couple
one
of
of
number
the
of
things
years
we
ago.
do.
Any other questions on the developmental center?
I warned the president if you asked me, I might give a very long answer, so feel free not to raise your hand, but to talk to me offline if you want to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the press today?
just wondering where the Senate is on the product recommendations?
We haven't really talked about the House passage of supporting the move of the prison. The information that we're getting though looks pretty favorable, so we'll discuss that when we have some time. Oh, we have Senator Stevenson here, who's on the Prada board. So
I sat on
thank
the
you.
Prada board. I went over yesterday when they made the presentation to the House caucus. I think they'd like a little more time for discussion. And I mean, many of you are probably there. They need to work through that. We'll make a presentation in the Senate caucus and both caucuses, the Republican and Democrat, on Tuesday.
Text questions.
We do have some of those. 3. In regards to education task force, one recommendation was a need for more school counselors, but there are no bills open to increase the number of counselors. Are there any coming?
I don't know of any bills that we're going to reauthorize the task force, or I believe we will. I don't know what the final outcome of that will be. And that's an item that we discussed last interim. I suspect that that will also be a matter of discussion in the interim this year.
Mr. President, if I might.
Yes.
I do have Senate Bill 118 for
Oh,
substitute
okay.
that would, if the community councils decide to use that money for school counselors, they may. So that would be a significant boost for school counselors and would allow them to hire the school counselors and resource officers and mental health counselors if they choose to.
Are you ever aware of any other bills addressing school
No.
counselors?
No,
Okay.
but I think the governor had it in his budget.
Okay, awesome. The next question from a texter. I know there are plans to make government vehicles run on CNG, but what about making it a little more affordable for the public to install CNG kits and make their cars run on CNG? There are plenty of people who would do it, but it's expensive.
It is expensive, and let's see, Senator Adams is not here.
I think Representative Draxler's had a bill in the House that got passed to make it easier to make the conversion. The problem was you had to have an EPA kind of approved kit, and they've lessened that, so it made it easier to do. And I don't know the real answer. I think we extended it last year, 1 year. looking to do that.
So that's a great question. I think there's still some to be learned about that. We'd like to see the cost of those decrease, because I think that could make a significant impact on our air situations on inversion days.
Great. The last question. How do you reconcile the push to get kids away from screen time with the support of HB 148 instead of 96?
Would you repeat the question?
Yes. How do you reconcile the push to get kids away from screen time with the support of HB 148 instead of 96?
Screen time?
Time in front of a screen in general.
Computer, yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody familiar with that?
HB said we don't have to be familiar with it for a day or two.
And I think that's just, I think that highlights what we need to be explaining to the public and to those who are watching this is we have a process here, and we're talking about some House bills. And while we're familiar with a lot of House bills that have gotten a lot of press or have got a lot of interest, there are many of those bills that have not come to our committee, and so we're not familiar with what's going on in any detail. We're focused right now on Senate bills and know quite a bit about what's going on in our committees. But should those pass the House, we'll become very familiar with what happens and could address that with a little more information. So thank you for the question. It might be something to ask here in a couple of weeks as we get more into House bills. Any other questions? All right, thank you very much.